about myself and why I'm applying for this position. I'm Chris Willitson. A lot of my friends call me Pop, and spent 20 years in the Navy. Received 5 achievement awards for exceptional work at different commands. I've been throughout the world. I've had the opportunity to work with thousands of people, and I've had 100 people assigned to me as a supervisor in the shipyards. I'm applying for this position because I'm an electronics tech. I worked in that field, not exclusively. When I first retired from the Navy, I went to work for Home Depot, and I worked my way up to the building material and lumber supervisor for a while. And then I had a couple of life events happen, and I had to move on. I believe that I can be a salesman for this company because I believe in your product. I've studied what your company sells. They sell the solar paneling as well as the distribution and the battery backup or the uninterruptible power supply system. You encourage people not to completely go off the grid, but to use this to greatly reduce the electricity. And if there's a problem with your system, they can use the commercial power that's available. I believe that you are the future, and I also see that you have you're continuing to upgrade your systems. I've talked to a few of your customers, and in fact, one of your customer, Mr. Jargith, told me that he was really exceptionally happy with the service, since your company also has service calls for the systems. What do you consider two of your greatest strengths, and how will they benefit this company? I believe that one of my strengths is the ability to interact with people, to find out what their needs are, to follow through and give them the best service possible. I think I've always been in a service-oriented position, no matter what I have accomplished. I believe finding a need and supplying a purpose is one of my strengths. Another one is the ability to bring people together as a team, go forward, and to find an esprit de corps, meaning that we could bring all people together, moving forward, going to a common goal. And in that purpose, I believe that people are one of my greatest strengths, the ability to create a camaraderie. What is your greatest weakness? One of my greatest weaknesses are I can get upset when somebody comes in the middle of a project, and they could be a boss of mine, and they will speak in front of a customer. I will get upset. How I've learned to deal with that is to remain professional, to seek the courtesy, to take that person aside and to guide them, to find out what they need, and then, if necessary, away from the customer, bring my team together and to talk to my team. All right, get them to go along with the idea, not to pick sides, to remain professional in the courses that are provided. That's how I overcome that weakness. It takes a few minutes when somebody gets involved, but they may have a suggestion. It's just their application that's wrong. I've learned to be able to take that aside. It's easier to talk to a person aside in private, and then to come to a common ground and go forward. So one of my greatest weaknesses is, and a flaw of my character, is to get upset, and I've learned how to cope with that in a professional manner. Tell us the time when you had to work as a team. What was your role on that team? Well, I was in the Navy for 20 years. Just about everything I've accomplished in the Navy was in the team concept. I believe that when we go forward, we know that in the team concept, that if I'm not the leader, that I am to support the leader and possibly guide them in a direction that they can feel the most accomplished and successful in. As a team leader and as a subordinate, I found myself in both positions, not only in sports, but in life. There's a camaraderie that comes with the fact that people can trust that we are all working together and we're working toward a goal. And that goal, at least in this company, would be to sell our product and solar panels and the uninterruptible power supplies, and to satisfy our customers, and as a team to be there to assist in any way that I can, whether it's in sales, whether it's in helping other salespeople, whether it's helping with the maintenance for repair or just regular procedural affairs. I believe a team means that whatever position needs to be filled, we need to, each and every one, be able to step in, to be knowledgeable, and to fill that position. Give us an example of a pressure situation you've experienced on the job and how you handle it. Okay, specifically, I was in Antarctica in a place called Williams Field that was an airfield on snow just outside of McMurdo. We called it Willie Field. It was the first day that I had as I was just qualified for the position. I had just qualified in the position as the electronics air traffic control man on duty. It was my first day. I worked with what was called an FPN 63, and that's a radar that needs to be calibrated every day because the snow berms move up and down. I had been stationed in Antarctica for about 2 weeks. They were training me on each of the systems so that we could stand the 24-hour duty, and usually that meant on a Saturday or Sunday being available to not only do the maintenances but calibrate the systems, to make sure all the communication systems were working, to make sure the uninterruptible power supply, that we had power to the station. It's a pretty extensive job. It was on a Friday. So all of the other folks had left from Williams Field and gone into McMurdo Station, which was about a half-hour to 45-minute drive. We had just achieved a whiteout situation, which means there was no one to travel anywhere at all. However, we did have an aircraft inbound, and the aircraft just lost all of its navigation equipment, and the radar broke almost at the same time. However, we believed that it was a minor problem, as the air traffic control people and my bosses and the captain of the McMurdo station had all intercommunicated. They had about a 30-minute window before the plane had to turn around. By the time everybody had figured out whether the plane should turn around or not, just as the plane had reached the Royal Society Mountains, it had to gain altitude. The radar couldn't see that far. The radar is a guidance system which can bring the aircraft in a glide slope path and altitude to touch down at a specific point on the runway. But the radar had a catastrophic failure. Calling the last person that had worked on the radar and had perform correct maintenance, Christopher Pipkins. I talked to him, and he said the last thing he worked on was a large capacitor on the bottom drawer of the panel. All right, all the equipment was turned off. I opened it up, and I saw that what I had was a cold soldering joint. Now, the plane was due to land in 1 hour, and in 1 hour I had to be able to fix the equipment, to recalibrate the equipment, and to get it online. Well, since I found that the solder had broken, I had to go into the electronics hut, and I had to find all the soldering equipment and everything that I needed, and the wiring. For being there for 2 weeks, I was uncertain of where all the equipment was kept, because the equipment is moved back and forth over time. So I found wire, I found the solder, I soldered the wiring to the large capacitor, crossed my fingers, sweating like I've never sweat before. I flipped the switch on, calibrated the system. When I received a call from the captain over the radio, he asked me specifically through the air traffic controlman did I believe it was reliable. I told him it was a go, and he was within 15 minutes of landing. So, completely calibrating the system just as he hit the point where they picked him up on the glide slope path. I had it perfect. They brought him in. He landed the aircraft. I can remember him coming up to the air traffic control sled shed, and he was a big man. He had the Harley Davidson stickers on, suspenders on. He gave me a big hug. It would have been a catastrophic situation if I hadn't gone forward. So, tell us about a time when you had to work with a coworker you found particularly difficult to work with, and how you handled it. I think I answered that question earlier. We're all going to have challenges with coworkers. It's how we learn how to handle the challenges. Sometimes it's just a bad day. You take the person aside, you care about them, you find out about what it is, you take a few minutes, and we work it out. Tell us about an experience you had with an upset customer and how you dealt with that experience. Yes, upset customers are always going to happen. You have to find out why they're upset. I had a man that had overloaded his trailer. I suggested to him when I worked at Home Depot that he had about 2,500 pounds more than what his trailer could truly handle. He became upset, and I calmed him down. I told him that we had a delivery, but he needed to get it there. I asked him about it, and anyway, as he was pulling out, his trailer completely lost the axle, and the trailer came down. I had them pull around we were lucky, we didn't lose any of the tile they had in the back, but I brought around the forklift and loaded on one pallet on a man's truck that worked with us, and he drove it back out there. Fortunately, that man had his own forklift available, and we handled it from that position. The customer was very satisfied. Tell us about the characters you would associate with a successful supervisor. Always praise in public and criticize in private. Assure the people that you are steadfast, that I have the ability to follow forward and get to the point. My ideal job is to work with alternative energy, anything that is moving toward a society that I don't believe we could ever get rid of fossil fuels, but I think in an all-day use we can follow forward. I think your company, this position at this time in my life is my ideal job. I've explained to you when I did my first interview that I believe that we could go forward with some ideas. That's why I suggest to you that I already have some ideas in that area. That's the only thing I won't sign a non-compete clause in is in that specifics. I would not go to another company and sell systems that you sell. What would you find most challenging in the position you are applying for? I think I kind of answered that in that one, as I would like to continue creating that invention that we discussed. I believe that there is a challenge out there with Mr. Ray Guy, the Frenchman who's created pneumatic power. That's kind of what got me involved in the field in the first place. I believe we have a future, and I think our future is in non-fossil fuels. I think that we can clean up our immediate environment as well as sustain the American economy over the next 4 to 5 decades. Thank you. Thank you.